mulling over what to do. After several minutes, she laid aside her knitting and got to her feet. Looking Okpono's brother-in-law squarely in the face, she said, "I'll find you guilty and order you to pay Okpono the money you owe." Dejected at losing, the brother-in-law dropped his head. At the same time, a large smirk crept across Okpono's face. But Mary had a surprise for Okpono. She spoke again to the brother-in-law. "I also order you to give Okpono a whipping right here and now, and be sure you make it hard, or I will find you for going easy on him." A look of shock quickly replaced the smirk on Okpono's face. At the same time, looks of satisfaction crept across the faces of those in the crowd. This was justice. The White Ma truly understood their ways. With her duties as vice-consul discharged for the day, Mary gathered up her knitting and placed it into a bag. It was time to eat and then share more of the gospel message with the village. In the morning, Mary would begin the trek back to Ikenge, the village where she lived. As she sat at the fire that night, eating a bowl of corn stew with her fingers, Mary wondered what the people back at the Baxter cotton mill in Dundee, Scotland would think if they saw her now. They would probably be amazed that she had managed to stay alive for so long in such a harsh environment, especially when so many other missionaries had died within a few years of arriving in Calabar. They might also marvel at the fact that the 11-year-old girl who had started working at the mill was now vice-consul, the sole administrator of British law in the Okoyong region. Of course, Mary would not have believed it possible back then either, but here she was. There was no denying it. She had grown a lot from being that small girl working at the mill. In fact, she now felt more at home among the people of the Okoyong region than she did among Scottish people in Scotland. Indeed, she now referred to the Africans as her people, and they referred to her as Ika Kapukpru Owo, the mother of us all. It was all a long way from life in Dundee. Chapter 2. It was up to her. 11-year-old Mary Slessor stood by the door of the only house she'd ever known and watched as a neighbor hauled away the kitchen table. The table was being sold to raise money for the family to move to the city of Dundee, Scotland. "Don't worry about the move, Mary. Things will work out for the best. It will give your father a fresh start," her mother said, patting Mary's bright red curly hair. "There will be new opportunities for you in Dundee. Perhaps you'll even be able to go to school." Mary's eyes lit up. "That would be wonderful. Do you really think I might get to go?" she asked. "Once we're all settled in and your father has a steady job, I don't see why not. Now, run along and fold the blankets for me, would you? I've a mind to put them in the bottom of this chest." Mary skipped happily from the front door of the cottage to the tiny bedroom she shared with her 3 younger sisters. Her younger brother, John, slept in the loft above the kitchen. Until a year ago, when he had become weak and died, Robert, her older brother, had slept in the loft as well. With his death, Mary had become the oldest child of Robert and Mary Slessor, after whom the 2 elder children were named. As Mary folded the blankets, she thought about what her mother had said and wondered whether things really would be better in Dundee than they were in Gilcomston, near Aberdeen on the northeast coast of Scotland where they lived. Although Mary had never been more than a few miles from her home, her friend Helen had, and had told her all about the towns in the lowlands of Scotland. The buildings there were apparently dark and close together, and it was almost impossible to breathe because the thick smoke produced by the factories hung in black clouds above the cities. It sounded horrible to Mary, and not one bit as good as living in Aberdeen, where the wind rustled through the highland heather and down into the city. But surely things in Dundee...